Good afternoon to everyone, especially the sisters from the general team, the provincials, and you, my dear sisters. At the outset, let me extend my warm and hearty welcome to all the attendees of today's webinar on ecofeminism. It is an immense pleasure to see many familiar and new faces for today's session, and I'd like to thank all of you for agreeing to meet at such short notice. I will be hosting today's webinar, playing my part as its moderator. Let me present myself. I'm Sister Charmian from the province of France, one of the members of this commission. Welcome once again to the second webinar organized by the commission to terminate the month-long celebration of the season of creation on the topic ecofeminism. A special welcome to Sister Prema, the speaker of the day and the coordinator of the commission as well. We are very glad to meet you all through this platform. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedules to join us today from far and wide. And on the agenda for today, we have the opening prayer, presenting the speaker, followed by her presentation. And next on the list will be the interaction or the question and answer hour. And finally, we shall wind up with a vote of thanks. Before we get started, let me take the opportunity to place before you certain instructions. The success of today's webinar largely depends on your cooperation. Therefore, I call your attention to mute all your microphones. Do not disrupt while the speaker presents her topic. This is to respect the speaker and the co-attendees. Turn off your webcams if you wish. Care is to be taken not to distract anyone at any cost. I invite you to maintain silence right through the presentation. Click the raise hand button at any time to indicate to the host and to the speaker that you have a question. Do not forget to unclick it once you've done it. The ground is open for you to submit your questions to Sister Prema by typing your queries into the comment box provided for those who have logged in on the Google Meet platform. And for those who have access through YouTube, it's not complicated. You can leave your comments on the comments column. Dear attendees, I request you to respect and subject yourselves to the above instructions to facilitate a smooth and uninterrupted running of the webinar. I thank you in anticipation for your kind-hearted cooperation. A day without prayer is a day without blessing, and a life without prayer is a life without power, says Edwin Harvey. Let's therefore invoke the blessings of the Almighty before we get started. I therefore call upon Sister Indra John from Sri Lanka to lead us into prayer. Over to you, Sister.
And the sea measured out the universe, and you made me echoes of the voice that called the worlds to be, reach throughout the ages and now speak to me. You're my creator, the darkness and the light, sun and moon to watch the day and guard the night. The hand that stretched the heavens like a canopy reaches down to cover and watch over me. You're my creator king. Who am I? Who am I that you are mindful of me? Who am I that you sent your love on me? Who am I that you are mindful of me? Who am I that you sent your love on me? Yeah, my creator king. My creator king. My creator king. You're my creator king.
Creator of all, we are grateful that from your communion of love, you created our planet to be a home for all. By your holy wisdom, you made the earth to bring forth a diversity of living beings that fill the soil, water, and air. Each part of creation traces you in their being. Here's one line from our place in the web of life. With the psalmist sing your praise that in your house even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, that she may lay her young. We remember that you call human beings to keep your garden in ways that honor the dignity of each creature and conserve their place in the abundance of life on earth. But we know that our will to pushes the planet beyond her limits. Our consumption is out of harmony and rhythm with Earth's capacity to heal herself. Habitats are left barren and lost. Species are lost and systems fail. Where reef and sand burrows, mountain tops and ocean deeps once teemed with life and relationships, wet and dry deserts lie empty, as if uncreated. Human families are displaced by insecurity and conflict, migrating in search of peace. Animals flee fires, deforestation, and famine, wandering in search of a new place to find a home to lay their young and live. In this season of creation, we pray that the breath of your creative word would move our hearts as in the waters of our birth and baptism. Give us faith to follow Christ to our just place in the beloved community. Enlighten us with the grace to respond to your covenant and call to care our common home. In our tilling and keeping, Gladden our hearts to know that we participate with your Holy Spirit to renew the face of your earth and safeguard a home for all. In the name of the one who came to proclaim good news to all creation, Jesus Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Sister Indra, for leading us all in prayer and imploring God's blessings through the lovely song. Let us surrender today's event to His loving care and commence our program with His blessings upon all of us. The speaker of the day is very well known to us, so some of us may think that we don't have to introduce her. But I deem it my responsibility and it's part of my duty to introduce her, especially for those who are going to hear her for the first time. She's none other than Sister Prema Chauvelure from the province of Guwahati, a speaker par excellence. She's the coordinator of the commission, the Crossing Consortium, to reach out to the peripheries, shortly termed as CCROP, the crop. She is a social activist and the pioneer of the project Rainbow Home for Seven Sisters for the transgender community, a project unique and singular of its kind in our congregation. She is an embodiment of goodwill and social concern. Self-motivation, hard work, and simplicity are her real strengths. She never ceases to motivate us, especially the commission members. We are very proud to have her as our coordinator and leader, who never spares any effort to steer and bring the best out of us. She has the caliber to ignite our dreams and visions and help us realize them. Welcome once again, dear Sister Prema. Well known nationwide and across the world, she is an eminent speaker on some social concerns, chiefly human trafficking. She has committed herself to work for the various environmental issues, advocacy, sheltering, and skill training for the third gender. She's the Vice President of Thalitakum India, convener of the Northeast Justice and Peace Commission, and a member of Laudato Si movement. Finally, to complete her profile, she is also a member of the International Bridge and Embrace and Rainbow Catholics for LGBT. Today's topic on ecofeminism is a branch of feminism that sees environmentalism and the relationship between women and the earth as foundational to its analysis and practice. Dear sister, we are eagerly looking forward to hearing more from you on this topic. Now, at the top of the agenda, we have the long-awaited presentation on ecofeminism. Sister Prema, now the floor is yours. Good luck.
So thank you, Shamin, for introducing me and being one of the best, the moderator of the webinar. Thank you, Sister Indra, once again for the meaningful prayer. And now I begin the theme, ecofeminism. Actually, I had asked Father Robert to take some other theme, and then fortunately that he had taken up some other responsibility of a webinar, and therefore I didn't want to disturb him. So I had to prepare this paper quickly to present it on Saturday. I didn't want to give you another disheartening event, and therefore I have prepared this ecofeminism, and I said that's God's plan, that we should know what is ecofeminism. So we go here with ecofeminism. You have the picture. Someone would have drawn this from the imagination, from their dream, how the women are related to the earth. If we really look at it, observe this picture, you can see that how women are rooted in the earth. We had seen last time how we are part of the universe. And earth is a part of it. And this slide shows how our reflections are on the earth. Either our reflections or the earth reflecting on us. It is, in fact, because earth came first into existence. The evolution took place, this planet. And then we were evolved or we were created, whatever is our belief system. So earth is reflecting on us. All the qualities of the earth is in us. It is not that what is in us is reflected in the earth. No. What is in the earth? What are the intrinsic qualities of the earth is reflected in each of us. So there, with this short introduction, we go to ecofeminism. Ecofeminism movement, in fact, the thinking came almost in the mid-1970s. Look at this picture itself. How the Mother Earth, or how the living beings and non-living beings are embedded on the lap of the Mother Earth. The Mother Earth is very adoptive. She can receive everyone. Though she is fragile, she is strong. She is very resilient. She can adapt. She can forgive. She can adjust with both weak and the strong. There is harmony within her. In the midst of the diversity, there is harmony in her. That is her uniqueness. And that is reflected in me and in you. That is a similarity, or that is what all that qualities of the earth is mirroring in us. Those qualities are intrinsic in us. If we can recall the webinar of last week, there is a collective wisdom of the universe in us, and therefore there is a collective wisdom of the earth planet in us. And we are part of it. So ecofeminism is an integration of ecology and feminism. You know, whatever happens to the Mother Earth happens to us. I just recalled while I was reflecting on this, the Joffred and Ralfred. All of you are very much familiar with these two names, Joffred and Ralfred Gregory. These are the twins who died with COVID. And their father said, whatever happens to one, it happens to the other. Similarly, we are twins. We are twin sisters, the Mother Earth and we women. We are twins. Whatever happens to the women happens to the earth. Whatever happens to the earth happens to us. It's a dimension that evolves itself into life-giving and caring. Look at our innate qualities, our basic qualities, life-giving, giving life, giving birth, new lives, and then caring. So these are very much intrinsic in every woman, and also in the earth. We are part of the earth. We are part of the universe. No one can separate us. Every imagery that is seen here has got its meaning. We are part of the earth. We are part of the universe. We can see our own image in this image that is presented here. We cannot separate ourselves from the earth. Nor the earth can separate us. We are children of the earth. We are children of the stars. So the belief system is the social mentality leads to domination and oppression of women. So the belief system of the society is that anything that is weak, anything that is a bit vulnerable, that should be dominated and they should be oppressed. As a result, that leads to the abuse of the environment and abuse of the women. So we have the societal terms, the thinking of the society that anything that is weak, fragile should be dominated and oppressed. And that is a principle being used for the destruction of the environment and the minority communities, especially the women. Nature personified as a woman, considered as the source and guiding force of creation. In fact, the earth, the mother earth, is the source of life. She keeps on giving birth every moment. Every moment there is a new life. There is a new seed sprouting. There is a new butterfly born. There is a new insect being created. There is a new worm. Every moment, millions of life is brought forth by her. And so, the same quality is in woman. So, that giving life is the intrinsic quality of the earth and the woman. And therefore, nature is personified as a woman. Here are some certain phrases. Virgin earth, fertile land, barren soil. This is a very common that we use. Virgin earth, fertile land, barren soil. Look at the terms that is being used for a woman. She is virgin and there is fertility in her. And these are considered as two ornaments of women. But if it is not in men, we are not bothered. Only the women should have this. Of course, these are real ornaments. These are really valuable values in us. But with that, sometimes they suppress us. And similarly, the land. With this short introduction, we are going to how the exploitation and the degradation of the earth is taking place, and the similar exploitation and degradation of the women taking place. That's a second stage of this webinar. The phrase virgin forest to refer to a forest that has been untouched and which awaits mastering. This is a coal mine. Just look at the land, the way the land is butchered. This is only a portion of the coal mine. So, vast forest cover is destroyed. And the entire region is polluted. The water is polluted. The air is polluted. The virgin forest is conquered. And therefore, if she is virgin, she has to be raped. So the way they are mastering, we can use the term rape the earth. Indicates how the degradation of the earth is related to sexual abuse of women. So rape a woman, rape the earth, is all coiled terms that is being used, Exploitation and degradation of the natural world and women. Again, the figure that is given here, how much we are part of it. I remember some of the sisters telling me that when I look at something, I really feel that the tree looks like a person. That tree looks like a woman. That figure looks like that cloud looks like a child. Everywhere we can see, if we have the eyes of God, we can see the image of God in everything. We can see the image of God, the creator, in the trees, in a butterfly, in a wriggling worm, in a cat or a dog or a snake, in everything. The beauty of the creature, the beauty is reflecting the beauty of the creator. We are afraid of, we feel so ugly with certain things. I don't think that God created ugly things. Otherwise, he would not have said, after creating, he said, everything is good. So God has not cheated us. He said the truth. Everything is good. It depends, the beauty depends on the eyes of the beholder. So it is like that. What do I carry within me? That is reflected. So when we look at, if we carry the image of God, we will see God's image on the entire creation, the entire universe. So we are going to see the next, the exploitation and degradation. Francis Bacon, one of the scientists, he justified the need for science, that nature be coerced, penetrated, and forced, rob her secrets through torture by using scientific methods. So if you look at it, our ancestors never tortured the earth. Then came the Green Revolution, and then came the Industrial Revolution, followed by, in order to improve the production, we went into Industrial Revolution, then started the entire destruction of the earth. Very scientifically, we started to use machines and started the destruction. So Vandana Shiva responded to that, to Bacon, and said, for Bacon, nature was no longer Mother Nature, but a female nature conquered by an aggressive masculine mind. So this is so much in us. Every time we hear in many of our meetings, we hear the patriarchy, the masculine power, the masculine mind to conquer the weakest. So that is what the masculine mind is seeking, and that is what they have done to the earth. Aristotle also was not much different. He influences the Western thinking. Greek males were exemplars of reason, while women and slaves were servile people who were to be subdued. So the women can be subdued. Women can be, you can do anything with the women. They are voiceless. They are the marginalized. They are the people who will not raise their voice against us. We are more powerful and strong. And as a result, if you look at our Western culture itself, the colonization, when we look at, why did the colonization take place in different countries? Nothing but in order to steal the wealth of the earth, in order to conquer and subjugate the earth. That was their ultimate aim. That is why the environmentalists very often they blame the Christians. The Western world means nothing else but Christianity. And therefore, the Western world conquered most of the places, the regions where there was wealth, where the land and the soil was virgin, where the environment was virgin, where the forest was virgin. So subdued everything. That was the nature of the masculine. That was the nature of the science. And then we went ahead with it. Some thinkers say man is the noble and powerful figure, while woman, and nature are to be tamed and controlled. Both women and the earth bring forth life, but only an instrumental and subservient way that meets the need of men. So for women, the work is only to fulfill the needs of men. Similarly, the earth. We conquer the earth, amass wealth, and that is what they need. They need the power. Okay, they need the power of wealth, and they need to satisfy their physical needs, their sexual needs with women. So these are the things. After that, they are useless. Then you can do anything with the earth. You can do anything with the women. The same attitude they continue, and they controlled and tamed the women as well as the earth. So what happens to Mother Earth happens to us. Whatever happens to the Mother Earth happens to us. Whatever happens to the entire universe, it is happened to us. Look at that. The water is polluted. It is happening to us. It is not only the Mother Earth is suffering. We are suffering because we do not have potable water. The soil is polluted. It is happening to us. We are not able to eat clean food. The air is polluted, affecting the entire life of the planet Earth, including we. We require 16 trees. 16 trees are providing me oxygen, but we have cut them. All the oxygen belts are cut and thrown. The lung of the earth, the Amazon forest are invaded. And even in Northeast, that we have Karbi Angalam forest. That was the lung of Northeast. That's being invaded. So everywhere, whatever is happening to the earth, it is not just happening to the earth, the mud or the soil, but it is happening to us. It is happening to our life. Look at that. Both of us are chained. We are chained. The animals are chained. Women are chained. How are we chained? It is not with just a chain. But I would say that we are chained when we look at the sex and gender, with the gender difference, that we are chained. We are chained because we are born women. The custom and culture of the place, the customs will dictate to me what I have to do, what I have to speak, how I have to smile, how I have to laugh, what I have to eat. I have to eat last or first. What type of school should I go? The girl should go. I'm chained. What type of dress I should wear? I don't have the freedom to choose my dress. I don't have the freedom to move in my own house. I don't have the freedom to move in my own society. I am chained by the customs and cultures of the place. My mouth is closed. I cannot talk. I can't make decisions. I have no role. But I have a stereotype role that is dictated by the society. Only what society says I can do. You are a girl, you have to behave this way. I'm chained. You are a girl, you cannot speak over the other person, your brother. I'm chained. You are a girl, you have to go to someone else's house. Therefore, you need not to get good education. I'm chained. I'm chained just like an animal. Very often I am unaware of it. I'm bottled. The water is bottled. The environment is in fact bottled. The free running water is restricted today. I have to purchase. I have to purchase the drinking water which is given by God freely as a gift, the blue gold. It is being bottled. Similarly, the women and children are bottled. We are tied down, especially when we deal with the human trafficking. We are tied down in rooms. We are sometimes tied down inside the cupboards. We are kept there for sale. And this is what has happened to the earth. We have killed all the animals with the pesticides and insecticides, and that has affected us. This is the effect of endosulfan, which is being used in Calicut, Kerala for all the cashew nut trees. And all those who sprayed, they became victims of the effect of endosulfan. And the same way, the children who are born in this way, and we have another big tragedy that has taken place in Bhopal. Some of our senior sisters would have witnessed. Children, even now, they are born sick, they are born handicapped, and thousands and millions of children are affected by this insecticide and pesticide. Similarly, the environment, when we spray the pesticide or insecticide anywhere, even in the garden or in the field, there is a chain of death that is taking place. Not only the cockroach died, but the birds that ate the cockroach, not only the rats died, But those birds, though, ate the rat, everyone, even the snakes, everyone has vanished from the face of the earth. Look at the fields, we do not have frogs. Look at the fields, we do not have that small fish. We do not have. We have all, in case if there is, they are contaminated ones. So death is taking place every moment. When we do something to the earth, we are not doing only to the earth, we are doing to the human beings. Remember that. This is, we have to be very, very conscious of that. I'm not just doing to an insect, but I'm doing to myself. So this consciousness should come in us. Oppressed and killed. We just think that trees can be cut down. If you look at the Indian culture, in the Indian religion, they, before they cut the tree, they pray. There is a puja being done, and they pray, ask sorry from the tree. Only after that they cut the tree. But today the machines that they use for cutting down the trees in hundreds and millions, they lost that sense of recognizing God's presence in the creation. And in the same way, killing a woman is nothing. It is useless. She is being used. Now I can kill and finish and throw her. I can rape her. I can do anything with her. Every day we have in newspapers and in the news, TV news, that children being raped, the weakest, the women being raped, the weakest, the voiceless, the marginalized. Here we have once again, you are tagged for a price. Women are tagged for a price. Young girls are tagged for a price. They are kept. You go, this particular child or the girl is in this particular room in hotels. You can use for one night. You have to pay 25,000. This one is not so beautiful, and therefore she is 10,000. You are tagged with the labels. Many of our trafficked girls and women, they are tagged for price, either for the servitude, domestic work, or for the sex work. Similarly, whatever we are robbing or stealing from the earth, they are all priced with a tax. We are commodities to be sold. The women are burnt alive, and so the forest. The companies, the corporate companies, the corporate world is just burning and naming it as forest fire. They play the mechanism behind. When they want to evacuate people, they burn their houses. The voiceless are always evacuated, and that is going on in the minorities in Assam now. So they are burnt alive, they are butchered, because they are useless, they are minorities, they are voiceless. So both women and the earth can be burned. We are in the midst of the throwaway culture. I'm sure that many of us are part of this throwaway. Not only these syringes, anything. Yes, plastic is brought, yes, throw it off. That wrapper is there, throw it off. We do not think a minute to see whether I can reuse this. None of us think. As soon as we find, throw it off. It's a kachra in the language of Hindi. We say it's useless. What you can do? What is dirty? For us, everything is dirty. Nothing is clean for us. And we dirty the Mother Earth, which is so clean. We have dirtied the throwaway culture. Same way, we throw away the babies, especially when the fetus is recognized, diagnosed as female fetus, thrown out. So throwaway culture, not only we are dirtying the earth, not only we are polluting the earth, not only we are polluting the water, we are also polluting the human mind. And we are polluting and killing without being formed a conscience. We just kill the fetus. We just kill the girl babies. We just throw away the children. Especially the girl children we throw away. So the throwaway culture is very much in us. I don't blame only the men, but we female, who are very feminine and part of the earth, who are bestowed with the good qualities of the earth, we have made, many of us have made our hearts so hard, and we have started the same culture of throwaway, dirtying the mother earth, making the mother earth cry, polluting the mother earth, as well as throwing away the human beings, especially the female fetus. Another part of the throwaway culture. And as a result, extinction of species. We do not have the Asian cheetah in India. They have brought now from Africa 3 cheetahs, but they are of African. They are not Asian. They are extinct today. We have used them for leather factories have used them. Maybe in future, we will have to draw and show them how a tiger looks like. The future generation may not see a tiger. The extinction of species is taking place especially among the women. If we look at the sex ratio of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, all these places, the sex ratio is the women number, the female number is very, very low, 825 for 1,000 men. And as a result, now they do not have female or girls there for marriage. And so they do not have girls there. They come to Jharkhand, they come to Chhattisgarh, they come to Northeast in search of girls, and they take them to those places. And there are traffickers who carry these girls and sell them in these states, and they get married over there. Many have got settled there from Northeast, I know for that sure. Similarly, from Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand and Orissa. So extinction of species not only taking place with the animal kingdom, but it is also taking place among the human beings, especially with the women. The women number is reducing drastically. Anything that is a loss, anything that does not bring money or profit should be eradicated and eliminated from the world. That is the principle. Only the trees, plants, animals that will bring money have the right to live. Others have no right. And as a result, we know how we treat the elderly people. I think today is the International Day of the Elderly People. So anything that is useless, they have no right to live. Only that can bring profit and comfort or money or power to me, they can live. Ancient trees like people and other trees, ficus family, are useless and they cut them away. In fact, we think that the ficus family, take the case of a people or a banyan tree, which we see very common in India. People do not want them there because they will destroy. They are not the building friendly. That is sure. They are not building friendly. But if they are staying in a forest or far away from the building, why should we cut them down? Because I want to keep either a fruit tree there. That is what my purpose is. But if we have one people tree in our area, I tell you, that will clean our air, clean the air of that entire area. If we can preserve one people tree or a banyan tree, especially the people tree, it will clean the entire area and it will supply oxygen in abundance, including some of the science they say they also supply even at night 24 hours. Similarly, the tulsi, now we have the snake palm tree, snake palm plants, the herbs that also supply 24 hours. And the bamboo trees supply 4 times more than other trees, the oxygen. So we need to maintain these trees around our campus. This is very important. If I can recall as a child, I have seen in some of the places we have the tree grows. A particular portion of the land is kept, the trees are kept there, they grow. And that tree grove is kept what for? 2 purposes. One, they will supply water for the land. Okay, the trees the roots of the trees, 30% of the water is kept by the roots of the trees. And therefore, in the area, they will have water supply always. So they keep. Secondly, they also keep this people tree and a lot of trees around. They keep that for to control the pollution, to supply enough oxygen for the villagers. And they had their meetings under these tree groves. So they were sanctuaries. They were actually sanctuaries where they could have the meetings, where they preserved life. So wherever there is life, where there is a preservation of life, they are known as sanctuaries. But today, we find if they are not good and they are not bringing money, we count the value of a tree, similarly value of the human beings, especially the women, in terms of money. So this is another part of our story, the plight of girl children. If at all we are born, we are deprived of all the rights, even as a child. We are a loss for the family. And so you go for domestic work, child labor, mainly the girls are being sent. Looking at this, we have chained the Mother Earth there, the forest. We have also chained the children. Is it a sign of civilization? Or is it a sign of subjugation? Gandhiji said, today of course is Gandhi Jayanti day, but Gandhiji said, we can say our country is civilized only when the women can stand on the podium along with the men and speak and address the crowd. That day we can say our country is civilized. The day the women are empowered to address the issues, that day we can say our country is civilized. But how do we treat our women today? Though we have one side empowerment, another side we see the subjugation, just as we subjugate the earth. 1/3 of the humanity does not have access to clean drinking water. Who suffers? The women, not the men. No water, the mother is very upset. The grown-up girls are very upset because from where will we bring water? We need for cooking, we need for drinking, we need for washing, we need for cleaning our dress, for everything, dishwashing, washing the clothes, everything we need water. The men are not much worried. The women have to go behind them and say that there is no water, please find a way. But they are more worried about their business and rest of how we can bring money. So who suffers when the environment is at danger? Who suffers? It is the women. The women who are part of the earth are suffering along with the Mother Earth. We have not inherited the land from our ancestors. We are just borrowing it from our children. We have not inherited the land from our ancestors, whereas we are borrowing it from our children. We never keep this in mind. We always think what I can do, how much benefit I can get today, that much I plunder it. What should I keep for my children? I'm not worried. Now, seeing the depressed case, in fact, of the earth and the women, we are going to see the wealth and the wisdom in women and in the earth. Spirit is the feminine image of God, and that her functions are personified in Lady Wisdom of the Hebrew Scriptures. So the Spirit hovered over the creation. Story tells us the Spirit hovered and the life emerged. The feminine spirit, the feminine image, the life is in women. Wisdom that guides, oversees, and fashions and gives life. So wisdom of life is within us. Wisdom of life is here, hidden in the womb of the earth. Look back to the history of life. Women had been always close to nature. Women had been close to fire. Women had been close to water. Women had been close to forest and soil. Simple examples. They cooked food with fire. They had such worship towards fire. That's why our ancestors worshipped fire. Our ancestors worshipped the water, the rivers. And so our women, because without water they cannot lead their life. Forest. All the wealth they received was from the forest. They got the firewood for their daily life. They got definitely the vegetable from the forest. And forest was places, the sanctuaries of worship. And so the soil, which they used for cultivation. So their food was there in the field. And so women were who cultivated in the field. Men went for hunting, but the women went to the field. They were close to fire, they were close to water, they were close to forest, they were close to soil. So women were part of nature. Women, even today, we are part of it, but we have kept ourselves away from the soil. We played as children, we played in the soil. Today, children, they do not touch the soil, they don't touch the mud, but it is healing. Mother Earth heals us. Feminine wealth, life-giving, and relatedness. We have a relationship. We are close to the Mother Earth. We are close to people. We have a great sense of admiration. We are very caring. We are nurturing. We are forgiving. And we are connected with everything. We are connected to people. We are connected to Mother Earth. These wealth are essential for appreciating and sustaining the environment. So the woman carries all these within her in order to sustain the Mother Earth. In fact, women got all this nature from the Mother Earth. And it is give and take. Both of us use for our sustenance. I need my Mother Earth, and the Mother Earth needs me, my care, my concern. Both women and nature have the life-giving and nurturing qualities. In them, there is relatedness and intimacy. In women lies the relatedness and intimacy, and so the Mother Earth. The feminine wisdom stands for creativity rather than destruction. Women think 10 times before they destroy something. And there is empowerment rather than domination. We always give up. Okay, let that be, let it be, let them do. We always withdraw. We don't dominate. And we have activity rather than passivity. We are people who work hard. We people who can take action to take care of our family, to take care of our Mother Earth. Historically, we had a very positive, eco-friendly culture, proximity to nature, religious sanctions, trees, rivers, dependence on nature for basic needs. The people worshipped the sun, and we look at them and we laugh at them. Early morning, even today, our Indian culture says they look at towards east, they first worship the sun at the east. If there is no sunrise, remember, we have no day and night. We have no months and weeks. We have no years. We have no seasons. There is no sprouting of the plants. No Mother Earth. Mother Earth will not be alive. If Mother Earth is not alive, we are not alive. So the life giver is seen reflected in the sun. Sun is the life giver. So first they look at the sun, the image of God. The life giver is there first. So first I worship, I recognize the life giver and I worship him. So it is part and parcel of our life. This is one of the campaigns. In fact, I have done it in Patna. We organized the women to safeguard this lake. this lake was getting polluted. Therefore, we had a campaign. The women can do a lot and they care for water. They said this lake is a very sustaining lake. And many of the people, the entire village is depending upon this lake. And this is getting polluted and we need to take care of it because we were earlier using for drinking water from this lake. Today we are not able to use because of the pollution. So the women came forward and they made a campaign. So women can do, women should take care of the nature and we have that caring capacity. Chipko Andolan, many of you are very much familiar with it. When the corporate world came first, Chandi Bhatt, he dared to organize women to hug the trees. So this has happened in India years ago. So Chipko Andolan is a simple example where women cared for the environment. The women protect their communities and the immediate environment that is being poisoned by technological advancement. Here is another valiant woman for the earth. All of you know her. All of you are very familiar with her, and especially our sisters of Pune province and Nagpur province, the Mehta Patkar, who has fought. Even today she is fighting for the Narmada river, which is the live stream of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. They are fighting against the dam, Sardar Sarovar Dam that is being built. Narmada Bachao Andolan, she led this. The woman led this. The woman cared for it. And she even organized the Jal Satyagraha. The women were in the water against building this dam. The corporate world again, for whom the dam is not for the people. It is for all companies. We have also the warrior of food security. You know her also so well, that Vandana Shiva, the great Vandana Shiva. She fights for food. Who decides our food? Is it the government that is deciding our food or we decide our food? Is it the Monsanto company that is deciding our food or the Nestle company that is deciding our food? These are the two major corporate world, two major companies that are preparing the GM seed, the genetically modified seed, which is useless, which has no vitamin in it, which has no nourishing quality in it. So she is fighting, a woman. What are we doing? We are all sitting and praying. Are we aware of these women who are fighting for our food? She is fighting even today, you know. Seed is the source of life. And the first link in the food chain, control over seed means control over our lives, our food and our freedom. She said that very strongly. Today also she is fighting for the food security. She is fighting against these companies, the Monsanto and the Nestle company, who are producing the GM seed, the useless seed. What has happened to our ancient seeds? Our food chain is broken. And these seeds, the GM seeds, can be only with the pesticide and chemical fertilizers can grow. Whereas our ancient seeds, our primal seeds, they could grow in the ordinary mud, in the ordinary soil. So they are getting vanished. Many of our ancient seeds are vanished. Today we have to go to purchase the seed from these companies. They have made the farmers slaves to these companies. Why do our farmers commit suicide? Because they do not have the other seed with them. So they have to go to the companies. They have to depend upon the companies to purchase seed. And these seeds require chemical fertilizers. So they have to depend again for the companies. They have to purchase pesticide. So they have to depend upon, they need more water. When they put more the chemical fertilizers like urea, they require a lot of water for the production, for the cultivation. Naturally, our farmers have to depend upon all these companies and they have to go to take loan, which they are not able to repay. Our farmers commit suicide. When the men commit suicide, what is happening to the women in the families? Imagine. This many thousands and millions of farmers have committed suicide. Even today, the farmers are sitting there in Delhi, the borders of Delhi. What are they asking for? They are fighting for our food. They are fighting for our plates. And how much do we feel? How much do we pray for them? We are not able to go and sit there, but how much do we feel for them? We as women, what is our duty? We have our daily bread at our table. We have money to purchase, but think of the millions of poor who will be suffering. This year, the price will go high for the food products, especially because these farmers are sitting almost a year there. More than a year, they are fighting for their rights, right to food, and they have not gone for cultivation. The price is going to be, the granaries are going to run dry. So we have to go along with these people. We have to sympathize with them. We have to understand them. We have to speak to our farmers. This is our feminine quality. And we have to empower our farmers and especially our women. We have also people, the very empowered women, like in the Christian community. If you look at our sister Valsa John, who died, who was killed. She fought against the coal mafia. She prepared the youth, but the coal mafia, they purchased those youth. And the same youth whom she had organized, whom she helped, they are the instruments used by the coal mafias, the companies, to finish her, to vanish her from the face of the earth. Of course, we have the Stan Swami, since he is not a feminine figure, I am not saying, but he has also fought for the same. He fought for the jungle, he fought for the forest, he fought the rights of the tribals, he fought for the soil, he fought for the food of the people, for the rights of these voiceless people. So we have several people. Even if you look at Rani Maria, it is the same case, that she fought for those voiceless people who were eating the brain of the money lenders, who were eating the brain of these poor people. The money lenders simply cheated them. And she fought, she educated these poor people. She educated those farmers. And those money lenders, they are also a big mafia. They killed the Rani Maria. So we have a lot of martyrs with us. A.T. Thomas also, if you look at, he also died in the same way in Hazaribagh. So we have also several figures in our own field, activists who have died for the Mother Earth, died for the voiceless people. And Vandana Shiva again, when you are doing the right thing for the earth, she gives you great company. Women are believed to be closer to nature, so no domination, but we have only care. We cannot adopt the quality of the men of dominating the earth, but we have to adopt or cultivate or empower ourselves with the quality of care. Ecofeminism seeks to move beyond the dualistic worldview and restructure our notion of power. So what is our mission? Our mission is to redefine how society look at productivity and activity. Productivity, the innate quality of the earth is production, and so the women production. And we are active, so women and nature. The Holy Spirit, she is the creative origin of life and extends life-giving power throughout history. This is the dimension of the divine that dwells within. It is a spirit who heals, recreates, and renews. The spirit is related to the earth. The spirit is related to the women. Our mission is to forge a lifestyle that is sustainable. We have to adopt a lifestyle that is sustainable. Protect our mother and our home. The spirit shapes the world and restores it to harmony. Wisdom causes us to be reborn with a new life. She renews the face of the earth, the oikos. Oikos, the home. All the living or non-living creatures dwell within us in this cosmic house, in this oikos, in this home, in this house. We are living together. Being a planetary citizen does not need space travel. It means being conscious that we are part of the universe and of the earth. We are part of the universe and of the planet Earth. The most fundamental law is to recognize that we share the planet with other beings and that we have a duty to care for our common home. Let's not think only human beings are living. No, we are sharing our home with other beings, both living and non-living beings. So we are living in a common home, which is a property of everyone. Today we walk on the shoulders of giants of the past. Every person, great and small, every atom, molecule, speck of dust, plants, trees, birds and animals, everything, including sun, moon and stars, have contributed to what we are today. Both are two sides of the same coin. The nature, the earth and the women, the universe and the planet Earth. We are all the two sides of the same coin. The season of creation invites everyone to repent from our way of living that destroyed the Mother Earth and reshape a new way of living that will sustain life on earth and will rebuild our common home. Season of creation is inviting us to sustain, to adopt a lifestyle that is sustainable, sustain life on earth. And therefore we rebuild our common home. God waits to be discovered and loved. Do not search him or her only in the churches and temples. He is there concealed, the womb of your mother. Many of us can recollect what that great man, Rabindranath Tagore, said, "Open thy eyes and see, the God whom you worship in this temple is not here. He is there where the pathmaker is cutting stones. He is there in the rain and in the wind and in the soil." And that is what our God is. Our God is that. His image is in everything, in his entire creation. He is there concealed in the womb of your mother. Search him there. Search him in the sanctuaries. Search him in the midst of this wriggling worm. Search him in the midst of the grass. Search him in the jungle. Search him in the birds that are flying in the sky. He is everywhere. Our home is in danger today. Our home is endangered by climate disasters and conflicts. It must be renewed using the wisdom of women. It should be renewed using the wisdom of the Spirit. It should be renewed using the wisdom of the earth. The season of creation renews in our hearts the ecological conversion, which is said in the Laudato Si, the metanoia, that the conversion of the spirit, conversion of the culture, conversion of our thinking, conversion of our acting. In every activity, there should be a conversion. Now, thinking, there should be a conversion. Our understanding, there should be a conversion. Then that will be reflected in our action. Renewing the oikos of God is returning to the initial desire of the Creator. How God created the earth. Can we hand over a clean earth to our coming generation, to our children? How did our ancestors hand over this earth to us? Can we hand over the same clean land, the same clean planet earth to our children? We need to renew. We need to repent. We need a conversion within us. Let us break the walls of dualism, the strong and the weak, the marginalized and the powerful, as we separate day and night, as we separate the sun and the moon. The sun is strong, the moon is weak. The hills are strong, The mountains are strong and the rivers are weak. No, let us break all this dualism. We are one. We need both strong and the weakest. We need both good and bad. We need everyone. We need the voiceless and the strong. And the synergy of our life, the synergy, all our qualities should come together and should be a creative element here on earth. Ecofeminism for the unity and balance of all creation to realize that oneness. Our family is made up of humanity and each of the species that inhabit in this planet. Our common home, the earth, a home for all. It is a home for all, not only, as I said, human beings, for everything. If we look at our vow of chastity, we look at our rule of life, Article 17.3, chastity is lived in our diverse engagements and relationships. What are these diverse engagements and relationships? We think very narrow way. I say we need to extend and expand and, think outside the box. Our diverse engagements. Engagements with people, engagements with environment. And in all our relationships with the people and with the creatures and everything that God created. Chastity to be lived in everything. Not only in our day-to-day life with human beings. No, it's a question of relationship. It's a question of engagement with everything. It is manifested concretely in our readiness to welcome everyone. Not only everyone, in everything that God has created. The entire creation. In every situation. And our participation in the universal love of Christ develops the riches of our feminine nature. Now, again, our understanding of universal love of God, universal love of Christ. He loved the entire universe. Do we? And we are called to participate in that love of Christ. The love of Christ, the Christ love that is manifested in the entire universe. His love for the entire universe. And that recognition of his love in the entire universe develops the riches of a feminine nature. As we understand God's love, the feminine nature of God's love, the more we realize and the more we will cultivate and the more we will diversify, it will flow out of us, that feminine nature, the love, the universal love to everything. I will never neglect anything. I will never say that is bad, this is good, that is dirty, this is that. No, I will not have any distinction. All that God created, if he has said everything is good, and then it is good. It is beautiful. And they all sustain our life. And that is what the chastity is calling us. Extend our love to everything, to everyone. And this is what the life of chastity. One more thing, one more Article 18 also I was reflecting. By the vow of chastity, we consecrate to God our power to love. It is not just consecrating during when we take the vow of chastity, poverty, obedience. During chastity, we consecrate everything God and finish there. No. Our consecration, our power to love is shared with everything, placing it in the service of his plan of love for the world, love for the planet Earth, love for the universe. To live in ever-growing intimacy with the Lord makes us enjoy the beatitude of seeing God in all things, which is promised to the pure of heart. What do we understand when we read? We have this here, the rule of life, special study. And the rule of life group is working hard on this. I think we can still open our ears, open our eyes, open our minds. We can begin to think outside the box and see that God's power, the consecrated God, our power to love everything. seeing God in all things, which is promised to the pure of heart. It is not in heaven, it is here on earth. If I see God in all things, his presence, even in heaven, I see him in the same way. So let me begin to see God, not in heaven, but here on earth, in every living creature, in the sand where non-living elements are there. I see in the sand, I see in the ocean, I see in the desert, I see in the sky, I see in the sun and in the moon, in the stars, everywhere. And so, Article 18 is calling us to see God in all things. Share the love, share the power of love with all things. I cannot end this ecofeminism without recalling our mother foundress, Claudine, mystic and a prophet. She sought God in everything. This mystical experience led her to make a prophetic move. You want to be a prophet, then begin to see God in all things. We can be mystics only if we can wonder at his creation. Only if I can wonder at the most ugly thing what I consider the image of God. I remember even today, just before our profession, Father James, who is uncle of Sister Stella and Sister Jaya Ambrose and Stella Ambrose, he had come to meet us and he gave us a short talk. I remember him saying, a mystic is a person of God can see God in all things. He can see God in filth. He can see God in sin. He can see God in dirt. He can see God in everything. That very sentence is resonating in my heart and mind. It echoes, and that is a mystic, and she is a prophet. She is a mystic who can see God in all things. She sought God in everything. She could see the major God in everything. Whereas many of us, we have to grow still in that. It's being read every time, but it is good that we begin to see God's hand in all things, and we will grow as mystics and prophets. Respect her, adore her, worship her in all things, as women always did it. Respect her, adore her, worship her in all things, as women always did it. Our partnership with nature cannot be denied. We are partners in everything. Yes. Every action that we do, we have a partnership with Mother Earth. Everything that we do is in connection with Mother Earth. We don't realize that. Everything that we do in connection with the soil, the water, the air, we are connected. The light, the darkness, everything we are connected. We are partnership with the entire nature, and we cannot deny this fact. So with this partnership and with this connectedness, we go from here. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. Thank you.
The liberation of the earth, the liberation of women, the liberation of all humanity is the next step of freedom we need to work for. And it's the next step of peace that we need to create. A remarkable and significant saying of Vandana Shiva. Thank you, sister, for your inspiring presentation. And in a sense, you said how women are related and rooted in the earth, and we women are part of it, and we have a part in it. And we are an intrinsic reflection of the earth. Ecofeminism is an integration of ecology and feminism. We are eventually inseparable from the earth. And you underline the truth that social mentality leads to the domination and oppression of women. Consequently, when nature is exploited, women are exploited, and vice versa. Supporting your presentation with a number of real life examples and situations. Dear sister, you are able to see the image of God in everything you perceive. It's simply and evidently a revelation of your intimacy with your Creator and His creation. Thank you, Sister Prema, for the enlightening, resourceful, inspiring, and educative presentation, painting the stark picture of today's situation of women and nature. And you concluded stressing the importance and reminded us of our responsibility to promote life, each one according to our capacity, and each one becoming an incarnation of ecofeminism, redefining and giving meaning to our very existence, and rebuilding our common home, the Okios, by becoming mystics like Mother Foundress. It is a real call to action. A very big thank you, sister, once again. A more engaging webinar always includes and ends in interactions. So next on the agenda, we have the question and answer hour or interaction. In the first place, you can share your appreciation, wonders, insights, and lessons learned. And then in the second place, you are free to pose your questions to sister or clarify your doubts if need be. As you go, you may unmute your microphones if only you wish to interact. I request the other attendees to keep the mics muted to avoid technical hitches. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Now, dear sisters, the ground is yours. And Sister Prema, be ready to receive the ball in your court. There you go.
Sister, it was really a very wonderful session and a continuation, and I really enjoyed. And sometimes then you are connecting with the ecofeminism. The thought that came to me is always I think that is women is doing nothing. It means women are the victims always. But the present scenario is women is victimizer as well. So as we deal with such cases, how can we help the women? Because the most of the women, the victimizers are women, those who are empowered. I really do not know sometimes how we deal with such people, so that we can help out the victims who are under who are the play or whatever it is. Empowered women are victimized as well as victimizer.
Okay. So if they are victimizing the others, okay,
Yeah.
if they are the cause, they are not empowered well. Like truly empowered person will never make another person a victim. They try to lift them up. So somewhere on the way, they have misunderstood some concepts. They need to relearn the concept of what they have learned wrongly. So, and I do not say they are empowered people. They are not empowered people. They are so-called empowered people. A truly empowered person will never make another person a victim. And the others, definitely, the marginalized, the voiceless, they are victims because they do not know. And that is our duty, to empower people with information. How much of awareness programs do we conduct? We have in schools, the children seated there. How much do we speak about the gender distinction in the society? How much do we speak to them about human trafficking? How much do we speak to them about the environmental destruction that's being done? Part of our education has to be that. That's starting from the childhood. Okay, when they are in our schools, when they are with us. Then starting from the ground level, when we go to the villages, we are empowering women with, first of all, with information. They have no idea. I know here women telling, take my child to Delhi. They have no idea what is happening in Delhi. They think that they will bring money. They have no idea that they are being sold. So awareness is very, very important. for rescuing these people, empowering our women and children. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sister. And then one more, just want a little share about my experience also. Little that you were speaking about the sex ratio that is coming down in Rajasthan and other states, the Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab. Haryana is Rajasthan is very highly committed. People those who are coming down to this the UP, Bihar, all these areas. UP especially they are victimizing the Musagar, that group already I have shared with you last time when we were speaking about the trafficking. Then when I see in that also, it is mostly the women who is dealing the cases. That is the trafficking when you see, it is they are bringing the people and it is they are who is selling 30,000, 40,000, they are selling their own women, their own children. Very pathetic we are, when we are dealing with them, it's, they are not willing to accept, that part, because they are saying they are going, giving in marriage, but afterwards they don't go in search of them. That is another problem that is facing. How we will deal with such situation? Can we help them out?
Now, those women and men who are the traffickers,
Women.
those women, very many women
Yes.
are involved, they are traffickers, okay? And they are for their livelihood and sustenance. Just as people selling their children to the traffickers for their livelihood, same way these are also for their sustenance, easy making money. They are also from, most of them are from poor families. Now, only way is the rectifying their ideologies, telling this way of making money is not acceptable. This was accepted in the society long ago. But today we have to make them realize that this way of making money is not acceptable. They are not thinking it is illegal. They are thinking it is a way of making money, helping my family. Most of them. But now they are becoming conscious. It is just as that. How much do we play role in oppressing the others? How much do we raise our voice when the question of oppression comes among women? How much do we raise our voice? Even in the church, when there is patriarchy, high level patriarchy being exercised, how much do women voice out? We are afraid. All our authorities are afraid. If we raise out, what will happen to us? What will the bishops do to us? So it is the same system that is existing in the villages and in the midst of the people. So out of ignorance and out of their poverty, they do this business. Again, awareness. My answer to all these are awareness. There are sisters caught for trafficking. They are not doing it maliciously, but out of ignorance. We are doing a big charity. We are sending a child from a family. The family is starving, so I am sending this child for work, child labor. There are sisters caught. Recently also I got the news that some sisters are caught. So lot of ignorance is also playing in this. We are doing out of charity, and it is not that, because we are not knowing what is today. How do we look at these trafficking issues today? And same way the people. Many of the traffickers that they are not aware they are going against the law. But once they are in our hand, all that we can do is making them, refine them. Jail is a place not for punishment, but it's a place where they are refined and they are brought back. So that's the only solution that I can say. Again, giving them awareness, making the villagers aware, this kind of people are there, your aunties are there, uncles are there, and the women are involved in this. So all that awareness we have to give. And therefore, people will give education to the traffickers, saying that now we do not send our girls. Definitely Musaras of Bihar and UP are voiceless group of people. Yes.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Dear Sister Prema, I take my hat off before you, especially before your empowered and inspiring and educative talk on ecofeminism that you have given to us, which is very much impregnated with the conviction and commitment of your own life, because I have seen you. You are a lover of nature, you are a lover of animals, birds, insects. I have seen you. What you spoke today, I have seen in your own life example. And especially I appreciate the pictures along with your topic that which you have presented so beautifully. It is very much touching to our heart, touching to our life, and I was really moved by the way that you have given this talk, and especially the connection that you have given this talk along with our mother's life or our rule of life, which is really, which makes me to reflect upon my own life, to have an introspection of my own life, and to have this kind of a sensitivity towards the nature, the world in which I live. As I have right to live, I also need to give others a space, a place to be alive, to be what they are. Okay, that's what I enjoyed your talk, enjoyed your inspirations that you have given to us, and the company of all our sisters, and especially the introduction part, and all the prayers, and all those who spoke on this day. I really especially thank each one of you for this beautiful chance you have given to us. God bless you.
Yeah, somebody is asking me to thank you, Sister Shelley. Someone is asking me to say the warriors, Vandana Shiva, I spoke of. Another person I spoke of is Mehta Patkar. Then she's fighting even now for the river Narmada and the dam that is created there. Vandana Shiva for the seed, against GM seed, genetically modified seeds, she is fighting for. Then the others, Sister Valsa John, who died probably now some 10 years. She was actually in the center where I was working. She has lived there. She also has gone and worked with the Sudha of Notre Dame, who is working in the midst of the Musara families in Patna. And so Sister Valsa John, another person whom I mentioned. Another is Rani Maria. Then I said A.T. Thomas, who died years ago, probably some 35 years ago in Hazaribagh, one of the Jesuits, who worked for the Dalits and for their rights for the land. He worked, and he was, inch by inch, he was killed. His head was cut and thrown into the jungle. And after 3 days, we found the body. So that is A.T., who has laid down his life for the rights of the Dalits. And the other was the latest, the Stan Swami. These are the people whom I mentioned. Thank you.
Sister
Prema.
Shirley.
Yes. Sister
I am
Patu.
Sister Fatima from Asra, Pune.
Yeah,
I want
yes,
to
Fatima.
congratulate you for your inspiring talks that you have given. But
Thank
my
you.
one suggestion would be that these talks to be written down and kept for generations to read. This would inspire not only our generation, but generations to come. That is
Thank you,
what
sister.
I feel very much. And
Thank you.
when we have somebody who is very inspiring and has got the caliber of reaching out not only to God but humankind also, put it down on paper so that generations will read what you have inspired us.
Yes, sister.
I
Thank you
once
very
again
much for the
congratulate you
suggestion.
for all your inspiring talks. I've been very diligently listening to them, and this is my feeling that it has to be put down on paper, written in books for people to read later on.
Yes, sister.
I
Thank
hope
you.
you will understand me.
Yes, Sister Patti. Yes, will do. Thank you.
Anyone else has got anything to say, sisters?
Shelly Chaco has raised her hand once again. Yeah,
guess,
Shelly.
Sister
No, I
Shirley.
just support what sister said, no, just now. It has to be written down, and it is nice that we release as a book, so that not only for us but also for people outside. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Sister Shelly, thank you.
Okay, if nobody has anything else to add, let's move on to the next item. That's vote of thanks. The roots of all goodness lie in the soil of appreciation. No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. The hour has set in to call time on today's webinar. Therefore, last on the agenda, we have Sister Pushpa from the delegation of Latin America to propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, Sister Pushpa.
Thank you, Sister Shamin. No duty is more urgent than of returning thanks. Our first and foremost thanksgiving goes to the Almighty God, the creator of you and me, for what we have and we don't have. May his name be praised above all other names. First and foremost, as the other day, today with much more vigor, our speaker, Sister Prema Chovalur, has shared with us more than intellectual knowledge. It is all mixed up with her own personal experience. So thank you very much, Prema. Like every time you touch our hearts, you have also left us with a questioning and a bit of amount of guilt feelings about our relationship with the earth. We as women, you have shown us that our relatedness to the earth, the similarities that we have as women and the earth. Thank you very much, because there are many things that touched us, and we are happy to tell you that you have left us with a lot of questioning. Your PowerPoints with the adequate pictures which captured our mind and heart. Since the women, we suffer all that affects the earth, and we have also had the greater responsibility to take care of the earth more than the men, because we are part of it and we have a greater responsibility. And also, once again, you took us to the wow experience. That is, we sat there listening to you, looking at you, feeling that all what you shared with us by your spirituality, your connection with the Mother Claudine, bringing her points to the theme of eco-spirituality, your connectivity to the vow of chastity. I love to hear that our relationship in all our diversities, how we are related to the nature, to the universe, to the people, to every creature. That is our chastity to live it. And our feminine nature of God, that is the biggest richness that we have each one, and you have expressed it very well. Our power to love is shared and given in service to the universe. Thank you very much, sister, with so many points that you have touched us. So a big clap to Prema, today being her birthday too. It's a new life that you begin, and we support you with all our prayers. And my thanks go to Sister Antin Mary. With much time ahead, she sends us the link, and she is present fully to take care how the whole webinar goes about. Thank you, Sister Antin, and thanks to Madurai Provincial. Okay, the next thanks go to our dear Sister Shamin. Sister, you have done an effective and efficient work as a moderator. Your clear and convinced guidance, how to be in a webinar and how to use the icons there, and your wonderful presentation of the speaker of today. So congratulations, Shamin.
Thank you, Sister.
Sister Indra John, she is a sister from Sri Lanka. Thank you, dear sister, for your creative presentation of that song. The Lord is the creator and king. Beautiful, inspiring, touching, meaningful, and an apt song for today's theme and your prayer, which connected all of us to the creator. Thank you, Indra.
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
As we express, I thank each one of you because the presence of all of you, the animators of the provinces, superiors of the communities, and all the sisters who took time to be with us, with the crop, with the theme of today, and we feel so much involved as congregation to learn these topics, these themes which will take us very close to the earth. And I would like to thank each one of you. And as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So, my dear sisters, let's be grateful by bettering our relationship with the nature, and let's make our earth as a house to live in, a beautiful house with all our effort. Let it be like a what to say, granito de arena, that is a sand in the ocean, but doesn't matter. We will have to keep going ahead, doing our best, and being part of this earth, and being proud of being the part of earth as women. No, we have a lot of richness as women, and let us live it. So thanks to one and all. Once again, happy birthday, Prema.
Thank you very much, Sister Pushpa. Thank you. It was thank you for it was very you really
Sister Prema. Happy birthday to
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for praying for me.
Happy birthday, Prema.
Thank you, Mary John.
So, dear attendees, if you have any questions we didn't get to today, and if you think of new questions on today's topic, do not hesitate to contact Sister Prema either on her WhatsApp or mail ID. Thank you once again, Sister Prema, and to you, my beloved Sisters of the Cross. I hope you all enjoyed and benefited from today's program. On behalf of the Crop Commission, thank you all for joining us today in good number and for your active and effective participation and collaboration. Well, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. See you all again on the next webinar. Signing off from you, Charmaine for the Crop Commission. Until then, thank you and God bless you. Have an excellent rest of your day.
Thank you, Shamin.
Thank you,
Shamin.
Actually, Sister Prema, I wanted to make everybody sing because you said in your speech before you winded up the speech, and you said, open the eyes. You asked the Lord to open the eyes of our hearts. I wanted to invite the sisters to join in singing that. I said, if I invite the sisters, some it may not set in right. So I think it is not very late. Why don't we sing that, open the eyes of my heart, Lord, once again, in thanksgiving for all God has done to us and for blessings the Crop Commission has received from God, and especially for you, imploring God's blessings. Okay, shall we sing, sisters?
Yes.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. 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 God bless you, Sister Prema.
Thank you. Thank you, dear sisters,
Well done, sister.
for listening to me very patiently and wishing me on this day and praying for me, remembering me with love. I know the entire congregation has remembered me today and prayed for me. Thank you so much. Pray for my good health. I know that God will give me. And as much as long as He gives me health, I will serve Him. Okay?
Yes, He will. He will definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support, the moral support that you give me, the precisions that you have me. I thank you one and all.